Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. Well, y'all have seen this guest before. He is awesome. His name is Dale Walsh. And just for a quick little recap, for those of you that haven't caught the first episode, he is a coach who supports families of those diagnosed with schizophrenia. Drawing from his own journey living with the condition, Dale helps loved ones navigate the challenges with more clarity, compassion, and hope. He's the creator of the Live Love method and a powerful voice for breaking the stigma and building understanding. So, Dale, how are you doing since our last conversation?
I've just been growing constantly. I've been having revelations and insights, and basically the major news. Well, the last time we saw each other was major news was I just was having my first joint in 17 years, and if I offended people or people thought I was insane, I basically was. But now I've got my sanity back, and the name of your show being Retrieving Sanity. I think that the contrast between the first show and this one will show like how people do what it means to retrieve sanity. But so I've been very well. The major event in my life since I last saw you is the water balloon of my God delusion has finally been popped after 50 years and is washing my soul clean with the purity of Dale.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Um, and no worries about the whole incident last time. That is part of the show, right? We don't know what life has to come our way, and all of what you just experienced was part of retrieving sanity in your own way. And that's totally fine, because I'm a condoner. Is that the right word? Maybe not condone, but hemp and cannabis definitely have a place, and they really shouldn't be like they are, in my opinion. But that's kind of the thing, is that we are always looking for ways to better ourselves. And we're talking about how you've been having those different insights and everything like that lately. So what kind of insights have you had that have made you just kind of blown your own mind?
Well, let me just start with the Live Love and the mentoring, and it's been 50 years, by the way, Keegan, not 20.
Oh,
I've been dealing with my mental illness, and that's a whole other story we'll go into. But basically, what I want to say about mentoring and saying I'm going back to marijuana, I was straight, sane, and sober for 17 years, from 2007 to about 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm still sober. I'll never touch alcohol again. But when I say straight, I used to mean I'm not doing marijuana. But now, to me, straight means doing marijuana, because that's really where I feel my best thinking occurs. And so basically, I was off marijuana for 17 years. And what I finally figured out, and this is the thing I'm still dealing with my inner God, but basically, I feel that marijuana, I fought through marijuana for the first till 2007. So that's from 1975 to 2007. I was called psychotic, and I smoked marijuana basically every day. And basically, it was my defense mechanism against reality. But then on 2007, because of my devotion to my mother, she blamed my whole history on marijuana. So basically, I gave up marijuana. She died in 2012. So, but basically, so I've been for 17 years. But I went back to it, and the show that I did with you is a testament to how I was feeling and how it was making me act. And that's the type of behavior that previously, if I'd been in the program, would have got me put in the hospital. But basically, it was just like a reintegration into the experience of the THC, experience. But now, I've retrieved my that was like a first time, but now it's been like 2 months, and the thing I'm dealing with is, this really comes down to something that I've thought about for about the last 6 months, is the fear of judgment versus inner acceptance.
Ooh.
And whether and marijuana, THC, and actually marijuana is a misnomer. Marijuana is from Reefer Madness. That's that's the worst movie ever. But it should be cannabis and THC. So
yes.
So fear of I'm dealing with right now, having popped a burst the bubble of my delusion of being God, of thinking I was God. This whole part of my Dale being for the last 50 years is now over. So consequently, it's like I'm trying to get out of the whole God system completely. So instead of the Trinity, I talk about the Quinity, which is Dale, Dewey, Duck, and Genius. So that's my basic Dialina, but that's what I call the Dialina body, which is this human avatar that's living in the bachelor's pad in Hackensack, New Jersey. So anyway, what I figured out 2 days ago, remembered, is that the Dialina is fueled by THC, and THC. Did I give you the 6 meanings of THC?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Teaneck, Hackensack City, the holiest city, the high command, the highest court, the heavenly citadel, and the active ingredient in marijuana. So for 50 years, I have been supporting THC, the city. I lived in THC, the city, and for 34 of those years, I've supported THC, the drug. And the revelation that came to me is the real secret to my understanding of the divine is tied up with my continuance of THC.
Okay. And so how exactly did you come about to the whole self-accepting and worry about judgment? How did you overcome that?
Well, as I said, that's still something I'm going through, because I found this guy Pedro Adeo. He's like a 8-figure kingdom entrepreneur, and he teaches the kingdom of Christ and entrepreneurship, and he's an expert at both. And he had like a 31-day wisdom challenge in January, which was going through Proverbs chapter by chapter for every day for the whole month of January. So he got me hooked with that. And then, he's just like totally expanded my idea of like what Christ stands for, of the kingdom. And, I've sort of like gone beyond him, actually, because he says in the kingdom we're all children, citizens, and servants. And what I say is, in the realm, which is like the all-encompassing kingdoms under the King Jesus, in the realm we are all kings or queens, children, sons and daughters, and stewards. And so, among other things, this has like totally changed my point of view towards money. I no longer manage my money, I steward God's money.
Oh, okay. So you're using your newfound spirituality in the way of improving your mental health, correct?
Correct. And I couldn't do that without the mental health that I already have, though.
Yeah. And so you're also using cannabis to essentially connect with your higher powers, is that correct?
Well, my explanation of cannabis is a lot more complex than a lot of people a lot of people with serious mental illness who use THC, say it relaxes me. It
Mhm.
goes a lot more deep than just relax. I used to say that too. I'd say it relieves the chemical edge that my antipsychotic that I have to take gives me. And
Yeah.
that's how basically how I rationalized it until I gave it up in 2007.
Mm.
But but the fact is that I was thinking about this, and basically cannabis is a way for someone with a serious mental illness to sort of like set up an obstacle or a roadblock to an unpleasant reality that that they don't want to face or they can't face.
Yeah.
So it's basically escape from reality. But the fact is that the reality they're escaping from is a false reality, whereas the THC is taking them to their real reality where they can feel secure. But the problem is you can get caught in such a maze, in such a labyrinth of barriers to reality that you get psychotic, lose touch with reality, and that starts the whole thing again. That's basically why I went to the hospital 15 times. It took me a long time to learn, but every time I went to the hospital, I wouldn't blame it on marijuana. My doctor would, and everybody else would. But I knew it was because the marijuana was bringing out shadows and issues that I had to deal with.
Oh, I love that. So you're essentially saying that cannabis is helping you do the shadow work. It's bringing lightness to the dark, essentially, right?
Yeah. In the quantity as opposed to the trinity. And I'm not looking to set up a church, but I'm looking to be a part of the realm. But basically, in the quantity, THC replaces communal wine in the Trinity, because I like THC a lot better than I like alcohol.
Yeah. I'm someone that, again, like I said, I support cannabis and all of its uses, and because it is way more than just a substance or whatever people like to decide to declare it, because the government is stupid. And that's the thing, is that we tend to focus on the physical aspects that medicines can do for us, but cannabis is one of the ones that works on our mind a whole lot. And I do love how you're saying that it's essentially bringing lightness to the dark. It's helping you find your way. And one of the things about it too is that you're dealing with a really difficult mental illness, schizophrenia. And a lot of people would like to say that it may compound it and make it worse, right?
And that's basically why I gave it up, because I started believing, I wanted to see if it was true first off, and secondly, I just wanted to, shut the people up and just have some peace, but also I gave it 17 years to really figure out what. If you think about from 2007 to 2024, those were like some of the worst years in American history, And it's like, okay, and so basically it's just like I sort of feel I have a civil responsibility. I am to do DW. What is due? Do is also THC. Do is what sits on the grass, but do is also, hey man, you got to do? So, basically, I one of my code names is Lord Duhad, and basically, I figured out a long time ago that I was the Lord of marijuana. So basically, what happened was, in those 18 years, 17 years I was taking off, I juiced up all my Earth stash. So basically, in the last 18 years, my my realm has been regrowing my stash so that I need never worry about running out again.
And isn't that one of the things too, is that some people might say that you could be really addicted to cannabis though? Because some people will say that that is one of the arguments for not doing it in the first place. You can become dependent on it. And while I believe you can develop an addiction or dependency on anything, given the right circumstances, people like to say that cannabis does this regardless of who you are, what you may have been going through. And you're here able to say that you did a 17-year break. Like, did you have urges and cravings that whole time? No. So you were just kind of like, you said, all right, I want to shut everyone up and I want to find my own way a little bit.
I promise not to interrupt you today, Keegan,
You're
but
good.
I just want to say that, that's one thing that I realized that basically in the 1980s. Substance abuse isn't my problem. My problem is my schizophrenia. So I gave up cigarettes cold turkey after 35 years. I gave up alcohol and marijuana after 38 years. Just cold turkey, just walked away, no program, no nothing, because I know my problem is my schizophrenia, and everything that I do, that I did and do in my substance days was to control my schizophrenia. So, having done without the crutch of pot, of THC and alcohol for 18 years, I know I don't need the alcohol, and I don't like alcoholic behavior anyway. But THC, my hometown, is my holiest city, which I've been building into an impregnable fortress against everything for the last 50 years, is necessary to my happiness. So that's a choice. Yeah, and whether God likes that idea or not, that's my free will is a choice, and if it's in rebellion, then long live treason.
Long live treason indeed. So how did you find your way out of the labyrinth that you found yourself in many times over? Because you said that cannabis helps you find your way out of that, correct?
Well, actually, they're like two ways. First off, I was subjected to I use that not in a negative way, but I was subjected to the program for 5.5 years. That was 3 individual, 2 group sessions a week for 5.5 years. Even though I was in agnosia, which meant that I didn't really realize I was mentally ill. So that gave me a grounding and a focus. Even though the doctor was evil, it gave me a focus that kept me in reality. And then I got my own apartment, and to tell you the truth, this apartment that you see behind me is my fortress of solitude. I've had it for 44 years. It's not going anywhere, unless they sell the building and tear it down, which is a possibility, but I'm not worried about that. But but of course the medication is incredibly important. My mother, one day I was in her room in Oklahoma City, and she turns to me and says, "Dale promised me something." I said, "What's that?" And she says, "Promise me you always take your medication." I said, "You don't have to make me promise that. I'll always take my medication." No, she says, "Promise me." So I made a solemn vow a solemn promise in words to my mother. So that's something I can never go back on. That's the only promise I'll never go back on. I'll always take my medication. And I've been very fortunate in the social, opportunities I've had, going back to college, and basically I graduated in 5 years, and then I spent the next 10 years as the spirit of the campus. as a student body's best friend at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and had a paper writing business. I used to say I help people write papers. No, I wrote the papers. I wrote 300 papers in 10 semesters.
Whoa.
300 5-page papers in 10 semesters. So, yeah, and it was very lucrative, and I was very happy doing it. And then, just took off time, and my parents died and stuff. But that's not really relevant. But fact is that THC has really been the center and the focus of my retrieving sanity, because it's given me a home I never had before the age of 20.
I love that. And thank you again for sharing all that and being open and authentic. That's really important, because it's something to say I tried cannabis and stuck with it the whole time and everything's worked. You actually took that break, so you can actually see the difference between the before, the middle, and where you're at now. And so would you consider cannabis as one of those medications that you need to take on a daily basis?
Well, what I found out, okay, so when I stopped marijuana, I got shingles within 2 weeks. And I said to my best friend at the time, I got shingles because I quit marijuana, and she laughed and she said, that's absurd. But it was like all the anxiety that the marijuana had been suppressing for like however many years just came out, and I got shingles. So that, but ultimately I realized, one thing I realized is that it's not absolutely essential to my health, but it does make me happy, and it does put me on that level where I can feel things that without it I just don't feel. Levels of consciousness, levels of awareness, and everything. And one thing, as a mental health advocate, this is actually where I was starting with mentoring and smoking marijuana. Is that as a mental health advocate, I want to say marijuana is a nuclear bomb in the hands of young kids. Marijuana, to someone whose brain isn't developed, before like at least like 18, but better 20, 21. There's more and more mounting evidence that it causes schizophrenia, and that's my story exactly. Even though I feel that it was the LSD and the hallucinogenics that I did that put me over the edge, I think I was doing top-notch Ivy League weed every day for a year before they took me away. So, marijuana definitely was a contributing factor. And even if it doesn't drive you to psychosis or schizophrenia or mental illness, it still causes your brain to develop in a way that is different and could have long-term consequences. And I think that's when we're talking about THC, I think it's very important to bear in mind that this discussion is basically for adults, but because marijuana under the age of 18, I am absolutely against. And I have a lot of followers on Instagram who are young, and they're into drugs and everything. I say, just wait, but that's just a caveat that I wanted to present, because it is very important to realize that, use of THC by young people can have, disastrous consequences.
Thank you very much for bringing that up and highlighting all of that, because like you said, it is very important that we do recognize the negative implications that can happen with ingesting THC, but it is also good to know that it's not saying that it will happen. Those are, like you said, contributing factors. And if I'm not mistaken, schizophrenia is a large part genetic, correct?
To tell you the truth, Keegan, nobody knows anything about schizophrenia except me.
Fair enough. But yeah, you're entirely right. I've had my fair share of cannabis use before 18. It wasn't that much, thankfully, but it was just a little bit. And I also totally relate with you on the shingles aspect because I've had shingles before and they just started right in the middle of my back. And it was from all the stress and anxiety, you know? And people are like, you're a young person. You shouldn't have shingles. That's not shingles. And it is. And it sucked. So
Right.
whenever you broke out in it, that would not surprise me.
It was exactly 2 weeks after I quit marijuana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a little bit for that virus to kind of come back in full swing and then do all that.
Right.
Like, did you get that itching, like that real
It
deep
wasn't
itching?
too bad. I went, but actually I was extremely lucky because it was on my forehead.
Whoa.
And I went immediately. For some reason, I went to the doctor immediately, and so, you know, he gave me whatever pills, antibiotics, whatever. And he says, you gotta go see the eye doctor because the shingles might go into your eye.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually, you know, another blessing because I got an ophthalmologist and I see him every year now and everything. But,
Nice.
you know, luckily the shingles didn't reach into my eye, but, you know, that could have been very serious.
Oh yeah, it could have been very serious and very bad. And it is also, like you said earlier, very important that we do keep it out of young people's hands because how the adverse effects are. And it is still even more important to say that it should be regulated like everything else, you know?
Right.
Because at that point, it's safe. Everyone knows where it's coming from, how it's handled, so on and so forth. And the tax revenue, if we want to get into the economical standpoint, it can just help out a whole bunch of people in that mental health regard too, you know? Whenever,
Right.
if it were to be diverted properly, but who's to say what happens with that money? So, but
we got very I don't know what it is in other states, but we got very interesting situation in New Jersey in that they're government dispensaries,
mm-hmm.
you know, where the government's grown the weed and it's guaranteed to be pure and it's very high THC, very high quality. But then we also have smoke stores all over the place where you can go in and you can get like a pre-rolled Mike Tyson for $10, and you know, and you know, and I mean, like it's a dispensary. Things usually cost between like $40 and $70 for like an eighth or something. It's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it's a smoke store. You can get basically anything you want. It's not high. It's not like that high THC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They get at the dispensary, but it's like, and it's regulated and everything. You know, all these stores are regulated by the state and everything. So, but you know, that's increasingly important that it be regulated, that it be monitored anyway. Just because of fentanyl, I think Trump's focus on fentanyl is extremely positive and everything, but. One of my best friends lost his daughter to cocaine fentanyl OD, you know, so so it affects a lot of people, and yeah, it's but you know, the thing is that parents, I mean, my mother was a classic example of this. Parents blame or bedevil THC for their loved one's mental illness, and it's totally unfair because you know, schizophrenia has like they have like no idea really what causes schizophrenia. It's just like too complex, you know. And especially these people reading books about people having schizophrenic experiences, you know. And that's why I feel I'm so important, is because I'm someone. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. So I say my 50-year lunacy experience began on May 24th, 1975 at Dartmouth College, when there began a full lunar eclipse on the cusp of my 20th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I was at the highest point at Dartmouth College looking at this eclipse, and I said, this means I have to go crazy for 10 years. And I did. But instead of 10, it turned out to be 50 in Hackensack. So basically, I feel that this is why I said I popped the bubble of my delusion, the water balloon of my delusion, is because it's been 50 years I've been trying to be God. I've been saying I'm God for 50 years, and the balloon has burst now. So now I know I'm Dale. So basically, I came up with this yesterday. I think you'll appreciate this, Keegan.
Okay.
It goes, for the last half century, I've been arguing about who I am not. From now on, I'm just going to speak about who I am.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's straight and to the point, and from the heart and from the soul too. I love that. So yeah, we don't have to focus on the whole cannabis aspect. I just figured that was something that you really wanted to highlight.
No, I think it was good we did.
Yeah,
we have other things we can talk about too.
Yeah, of course. Whenever you found that the water balloon popped, what was the first thought that went through your head? And like, how did your earth like kind of shake a little bit? Or was it more of a relief? Like a release?
Well, actually, it happened in a, do you know what, have you ever heard of NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness? I'm sure you've heard of it, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I'm in one of their programs called In Our Own Voice. So we do presentations. So
okay.
I went back, I arranged a presentation at Fairleigh Dickinson, which is my alma mater. I graduated and I was the spirit of the campus and everything. So
yeah,
it was like a homecoming for me, basically. And so I did the presentation, and I'm just like doing my story, and I said something to the effect of but now I finally realized I'm not God and I'm Dale. And I'm going to get back to being Dale and try to achieve what Dale would have in the last 50 years had he been focused on being Dale instead of being distracted. I didn't say this to the whole class, but this is what happened. Instead of being distracted by trying to prove that I was God.
Yeah. Okay. So what were some of the things that you wanted to say to Dale? Or what did Dale want to say out loud that he first thought of?
Well, that being fully in Dale now is like my new program is forget you ever thought you were God, Dale.
So what is the experience difference, would you say? Do you feel like you're more in a first person view, or would you say you're like before would you say that you were more third person? Does that make sense?
It does. Well, no, I've always been first person, but to tell you the truth, as I said, I'm the quinity, right? The 5 in 1. So basically, it's always been only one personality can be manifest in THC at a time. But now we have Dew and Dale both reigning in Teaneck, Hackensack, and Dewey is on a mission, on a military mission to Dayton, Ohio, to free Dale's spiritual daughter from her poverty. So, but long story short, was one of my new routines is like going to the park and sitting by the river and just feeling the wind and enjoying the day when it's a beautiful day and everything. So I was thinking the other day, for the first time, the 5 in 1 can manifest together in Teaneck, Hackensack City.
Oh, okay. So how do you manifest all 5 at once?
Want to ask me a question? I said, what? Well, that's how you manifest 5 in 1. You ask a specific personality a question, like
oh, okay.
Yes, Dale a question, yes, do a question, yes, Dewey a question. And you might not always get an answer, especially if you ask Genius a question, because Genius is very rare.
Okay.
But but basically it's like Dale Dewey Dewey. You know, I can answer any question.
Gotcha. Hey, let me hit you with something real quick. So, you know how whenever people are always like, in my head, there's like a couple of train cars or like trains on different tracks, and like that's your train of thought, right? So,
Right.
for me having ADHD, it is like that all the time. And I was misdiagnosed as being bipolar, so it was actually ADHD, which is nice. But I took it a step further, and I was like, okay, so I was doing that visualization of like asking a question. I forget what I was exactly going through. I went through the process of how my brain responds to questions. So it was like I would ask a question, and the question would go through one of the trains, and instead of like someone having the answer, like all the different passengers on that train would like want to speak up and give their own answer, and
Right.
I'd have to sit there and kind of like filter it out to be like, all right, that's the one I want, and that's the one I'm going with, or something. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does, and I, you know, I mean, it reminds me. This is actually something I used yesterday. Was I was talking to my sister, and I went out to Montana one time to see her, and she's very curious about my condition, and so we're driving back from the airport, and she goes, so what exactly is schizophrenia?
Hmm.
And she says, I have a friend who has it, and he says it's sort of like the whole Continental Congress yelling at once in your head.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I wonder if I could be a little schizophrenic. That.
Well, no, well, let me say this. Schizophrenia is actually a pretty rare disease.
Gotcha.
And it's officially it's 2% of the population,
Mm-hmm.
but when I was diagnosed, you had to manifest symptoms for at least 6 months before you could get the diagnosis.
Gotcha.
But now,
Mm-hmm.
if you have like a bad drug experience and you go to a hospital and you're psychotic because of the drugs, they might designate you schizophrenic on the first night and send you up to send you up and and get you all involved in this system, this draconian system, mental health system that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But and just because you had it couldn't, maybe it wasn't even drugs, maybe it was just anxiety or stress or something, but you say you went psychotic,
Mm-hmm.
how would you, I mean, there's no way you can know how you would feel if you went to a hospital for because for depression, and they told you you were schizophrenic, and you were going to have that label the rest of your life. Is like, what the hell is going on? And so in answer to your question about the two trains and everything,
Mm-hmm.
I think most people have multiple trains running. It's just like matter of setting up the train set so the tracks don't collide.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the thing. But so there's such thing as schizophrenic tendencies as well, correct? And not full-blown schizophrenia? Or is that just something that people like to say?
That's what people like to. Yeah, I mean, like, no, I meant, I meant the idea of a schizophrenic is the guy who's yelling at the void, at the top of his voice at this bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood has been like so negative towards mental health.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the whole, and actually that's I said that I feel I'm closer to God. God gave me a mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's write a book of poetry and 64 poems, and I'm working on it now. I have 44.
Whoa.
And I'm going to call it Crazies Can Psychotics Can Write Like This. A poetic explanation of schizophrenia.
I love that. I can't wait for that to come out. How close? You said you're on 44 out of 64, so you got 20 to go. So how long do you think the 20 will be?
I wrote the first 44 in June. I was told to do it in June, all in June, but I couldn't do 64 in June. But
Fair
that's
enough.
still my focus.
There you go. Well, so long as you don't lose sight of it, I believe that you'll come out on top with it. So, that's going to be, uh, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see that kind of lens put on schizophrenia poems and stuff, because a lot of the times, if I were to ask someone like what they would refer to think or define schizophrenia, most people are going to pull out like the DSM-5 or something like that,
Right.
or maybe even a painting. But you're putting it back into language, kind of like what you do with your whole live love method, right?
Right. And I guess I didn't tell you this the first time, but my did I tell you my definition of schizophrenia?
Um, we may have touched on it, but now that you mentioned that you have your own definition, I don't know.
A schizophrenic is someone who's living in a reality that was not conceived on Earth.
Yes. Okay. Nope. Now that you said it, I remember it exactly. Yeah,
Right.
you did. Yep. Um.
But
So.
I still stand by that. I think that's like the, and I also define reality. I'm very happy with my definition of reality, which is reality is the creativity left in the wake of your dreams.
Ooh. Oh, I like that one a lot. Because in that sense, whatever is left over is mostly a result of your actions towards whatever you want to achieve.
Plus, there's the double entendre of wake of your dreams.
Uh huh.
So basically, as I conceived it, is like reality is like a luxury liner moving to the ocean, leaving a wake.
Mm.
And everybody's on the ocean liner.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go in the wake of your dreams, then the dream is the ocean, but also the dream is the wake. The wake of your dreams is actually living reality.
Yep. Yep. And that's kind of what I was catching on whenever you were saying that. I was thinking of some kind of boat going down a river, like a starry
Right.
river or something. And it is also interesting that, but how does sleep and dreams work with you in schizophrenia? Do you have really vivid dreams and stuff like that?
Well, in the past I used to have good dreams. Basically, my sleep patterns have become like very uneven. Well,
Mm.
I guess that's the best word. And there's nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I always have energy. I always get, when I get sleep, I always wake up with energy and I make it through the day and without naps or anything. I sleep on my couch a lot because my BFF sleeps in my bed sometimes. And but anyway, so I get enough sleep, but my sleep patterns are very uneven. It's just, sometimes I can go like 36 hours without a wink of sleep, and other times I'll and this is very rarely, but sometimes I'll just sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm.
I'll go to bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning and sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but that's
Yep.
pretty rare. But basically, my sleep hours are usually between like probably 3 and 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad. I mean, everyone has their own different sleep patterns and stuff, and I think to each their own, just like to each their own whenever it comes to their mental health and spiritual journey. Um,
Right.
so let's see, real quick. We've got 46 minutes on the clock at the moment. So do you think we want to play our little game show segment real quick and then finish up with final
Sure.
thoughts? Or do you got some things you want to lay out real quick before we hit that?
Well, I like to re-emphasize agnosia as the greatest obstacle to mental health recovery. I don't know if people remember, but it's ANASOGNOSASIA, and what it means, it's taken from neurology, and it means that people with mental illness can't understand they're mentally ill. They aren't in denial. I mean, when they get better, when they recover a little bit, they can be in denial.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, agnosia means you are unable to comprehend anything's wrong with your brain. And it comes from stroke victims in neurology who, just can't think straight, and they think that they're expressing themselves perfectly. So I just want to for people, and we're going to go into live love, so that this might be a live love logic too. But basically, there's a need to, before you judge or have bias or stigma against someone with mental illness, just bear in mind that not only is it probably, is there a good chance they don't realize they're ill, but also they aren't being themselves, and you gotta have patience with that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you very much for highlighting that and reiterating that, because it is something that if we can offer the space, the judgment-free area, and just the capacity to care for someone in that regard, understanding is key. And knowing that they are having a hard time understanding themselves is even more paramount, because that's just how it kind of goes, right? The outside will see what's happening inside before the inside is able to recognize what's going on the outside. So
I had a revelation.
What's that?
And I can't say this is true, but I came to this revelation that if you gave every person who you thought was psychotic 20 minutes to explain themselves, then 80% of hospitalizations would be reduced.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was never allowed. I meant my "I'm God" joke as a joke. I was never allowed to explain that. It was just like, oh, he's serious. He's flipped his cookie.
Yeah.
And so just but I was thinking about that, because these emergency personnel and everybody, doctors in ER rooms, they have like no time for psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore the psychosis just feeds on itself, and they get involved in the system, and it is like an unending cycle, or they're just like spit out on the street to fend for themselves without medication or whatever. But I just felt that I just was thinking, if you gave every person just like, not even 20, just like 5 to 10 minutes to explain themselves before reacting, things would be a lot better.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And that's very sweet of you. And thank you for highlighting that again, because communication is paramount whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. And I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of people not believing my experiences. And I think that it's crucial that we let other people know that what you said should be taken into account whenever we're dealing with anyone experiencing any hard day, hard time, hard month, anything like that, So thank you for that. That means a lot, truly.
You're welcome. So ready for Live Love Logic?
Yeah, we sure are. All right.
Shall I explain Live Love before we start? Live Love is my mentoring is the structure of my mentoring program for mentally for the families of those with schizophrenia. But basically, Live Love is an anagram that stands for learn, integrate, validate, explore, and then listen, observe, value, and express. So it's a 3-month, 9 Zoom program that takes you through each letter, one session at a time. And I'm thinking it really has like universal relevance rather than just for mental health situations, because it was given to me by God. I can't take it. It just came to me in at least genius, it came to me in a flash of genius.
Yeah.
But That's what live love is. Learn, integrate, validate, explore, listen, observe, value, and express.
Thank you for the reminder to everyone out there that doesn't remember or has not watched the first episode. So if you haven't watched the first episode, definitely go check that out. It's a real treat. So, Dale, it's time for Live, Love, Logic. I'm going to toss you some rapid fire prompts and you answer them from the heart. Are you ready?
Sure.
Alrighty. Response or reaction? Which one's better?
Obviously, greatly response.
Response? Got it. All right, number 2. The most misunderstood part of schizophrenia is...
agnosia and hallucinations.
Axisinotia and hallucinations. Got it.
Right.
Number 3. Codependency in a sentence.
Uber need on someone else to take care of my own needs. Super need for someone else to take care of my own needs.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Thank you. Number 4. Whoops. If healing had a sound, it would be
A sparrow song.
A sparrow song? Like the bird sparrow?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that. Number 5. Poetry is to Dale what blank is to recovery.
A medication.
All right. Medication. Number 6. The first word that calms me when I feel overwhelmed is...
I don't.
You don't. All right. That's fair too. And number 7. A message I wish every caregiver knew.
Love, patience, hope, and faith.
Love, patience, hope, and faith?
Yeah.
All right. And number 8. My mantra in a moment.
Recovery is always an option.
Ooh, recovery is always an option. I like that. All right. Well, with you playing Live, Love, Logic, my good sir, I bestow upon you the honorary title, the Schizophrenic Sage of Stillness and Stanzas.
Oh, excellent. Why, thank you. Can you put that on a certificate?
I'll definitely do my best to put it on a certificate. I'm rebuilding the website right now, so you're going to have your own little mini profile and stuff with your honorary title on there, links to your website and everything like that. So we're going to make sure that everyone knows that you are the Schizophrenic Sage. If anyone has any kind of questions regarding that, we're going to send them your way.
I appreciate that. And you have my Calendly? Because people can talk to me for free on Calendly if they make a reservation. And I just want to say that the Live Love program is accepting applicants, and if you're one of the first 3 to sign up, then you get 3 extra free calls with me.
Ooh, that's quite a steal. Thank you for offering that.
Plus a copy of one of my poetry books.
Oh, nice. You got to sweeten the deal, right?
Yeah. Add value.
Yes, sir. Well, I think you add value to every interaction that you have in this world, and I really appreciate you being back on the show because I know you've added a lot of value to me, my audience, and anyone else out there that may have listened. So, do you think that we could see you on a little bit more in the future? Because we can always...
Praise you, Keegan. Thank you very much. I'm honored that you still want me. I meant the more you want me, the more happier I am to join you. Not only just because of just the appearance, but I think we have a very simpatico, as they say, relationship. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, just get in touch, and we'll figure out something anytime.
All right. Well, I appreciate you willingly sharing all of your experiences with me and everyone else, and I just think it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on because it's just one of those things that I want to hear experiences. I want to know how people can get through those hard times, and the best people to lead those people through hard times are the people that have been through it themselves. So that's why I think that you're an amazing leader, and I love what you do, and I'm more than happy to support you in all of your endeavors. So,
Well, God bless you, Keegan. Thank you.
and bless back to you. So everyone out there, make sure to visit his website. Check out that Calendly link whenever I post it in the episode description. And I just want to say, everyone out there, love yourself, love those around you, but love yourself first. Make sure you hydrate just a little bit. And, oh, Dale, I forgot to ask. There is one more question. On Retrieving Sanity, since we explore everyone's motley adventures of their lives, what does retrieving sanity mean to you today, and what do you think someone can do to retrieve theirs in the future?
Well, personally, having the inner acceptance to accept THC back in my life.
All right.
And for everybody else, just having personal acceptance over external judgment.
Okay. I love that. That's straight and to the point, and something that I think everyone could be a little bit better from understanding themselves, you know? So, everyone out there, thank you again for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. This has been Keegan and Dale. So be sure to check out the full episode on YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you can find your podcast. But for now, that's all we got for now, and we'll check you out next week. Schlan.
Thank you. Thank you, Keegan.